Hey, Steve Mignoni here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts. In August, it's hot, but that's okay. I won't melt and hopefully you won't either. This is a 1969 Chevy El Camino. Now we know this is part of the generation of El Camino that ran from 68 through 72. And believe it or not, 69 was the next most popular year for El Camino. 72 is the most popular of this generation, but for 69, a total of 48,000 and change of these were made. But by comparison, the grand total for Chevelle Malibu 300 production was 455,000. So like 1 in 9, 1 in 10 was an El Camino in 1969. But again, the second most popular El Camino up to this point in time. So, you know, very cool vehicle. And of course, as we know, the El Camino is based on the Chevy station wagon Bones, but with that useful utility bed in the back. And these were commonly purchased by construction workers, urban cowboys, and people who needed comfort and luxury and convenience, but also the ability to haul something every once in a while. Now, this one does not have the engine badge here. This could be anything up to a 396 from the factory or anything down to a 250 cube 6 banger. So let's have a look under the hood and see what we find. Okay, this is kind of like an old Buick with the sideways opening hood. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a 307. That's the base V8. 307, of course, arrived in 1968 purely as an emissions engine, always 2-barrel. There were no 307 4-barrels ever. 200 horsepower gross, about 140 net. Now here's the thing, the 302 in the Z28 is 5 cubic inches smaller than the 307. Is this basically a Z28 engine in disguise? No. Big difference. The Camaro Z28 302 had a 4-inch bore and a 3-inch stroke, high winding small rev engine. These have a 3.87-inch bore and a 3.25-inch stroke. So these actually have a smaller bore and a longer stroke than a 302 and a Z28. So they're 5 cubic inches apart. Yeah, they're both small block Chevys, but they're radically different engines. Of course, the cylinder heads on this thing have 170, 150 intake and exhaust valves. Z28, of course, had 202, 164. So, you know, again, these are workaday engines, nothing too exotic. Now, this one does not have air conditioning. It's a pretty humdrum critter, 200 horsepower. So be it. We work our way around. The front clips on these is very similar to a Chevelle. The hoods are also virtually identical to a Chevelle wagon. But again, we get into the cab on these things, and again, they're very unique, specifically for a single row seat, either buckets on an SS, which was optional, or a bench. This one here has been depleted, no more seat inside. But there it is, the inside. Now this one is a automatic, which was extra cost, column shifted automatic, perhaps the Power Glide. That was still available until 1969. You could get the Power Glide 2-speed or the Turbo 350 3-speed automatic. Each of those things were certainly possible. Look at the floor up front, that aluminum patch, that big ugly patch right there. We're in the Rust Belt, man. This is Massachusetts. That probably happened sometime in the 1970s or 80s when the original steel floor rotted out and the owner tried to buy a few more years by putting that hunk of aluminum and screwing it down. Now, something kind of cool from the archives is this American Car Prices, Manufacturers Retail. This is sort of like Consumer Guide. When you were buying a new car back in the day, now you go online for this kind of stuff, but back in the day you'd buy something like this. And this basically walked you through what dealer pricing was on all the options. And when it comes to the Chevelle, we see here the pricing El Camino sedan pickup on the right hand side. We can see that the base car was $2786.75 for the basic car. The custom was another couple hundred or another $60, whatever it is. On the next page, it's kind of cool. The El Camino and all Chevys could be had with dual exhaust. In other words, a 307 2-barrel could be had with dual exhaust, even with a 2-barrel carburetor, for another $31.25. And something we see down at the bottom of the page right here, it says roof cover vinyl Chevelle models. It would have been $88, but on the El Camino, $59.20. And what are we referring to there? Well, we can see right here the trim where this had the optional $59 half vinyl top. And again, 89 bucks for a Malibu because it was twice as much roof. But again, on El Camino, you only paid 59 bucks for this deluxe look vinyl top, which is long gone. But there's the trim that once held it in place. Another cool detail too is that, you know, rally wheels arrived in 1967. A lot of people think that's strictly Z28. Well, not so fast. We can see right here, rally wheels could be had on all Chevelles for an additional $36.60 right there, rally wheels. And didn't have to be an SS. You get rally wheels on a 6-cylinder if you wanted it. And we can see on the back of this, there it is, the 14 by 6-inch rally wheel right there. Maybe a 7. Anyway, but that's basically the same wheels found on a Z28. Kind of cool. But yeah, you can get it stock right from the factory for under 40 bucks. Kind of cool. But here's the business end right here of the El Camino. And these ride on a unique frame. Whereas a Chevelle, a Super Sport, whatever, has a frame with C-channel frame rails down the side. Chevelle frames are boxed. These frames actually weigh 335 pounds, 100 pounds more than a Chevelle's open frame. But again, being a pickup truck, these things had to be stiffer and more twist resistant than a passenger car, because you put a load in the back of this thing, maybe 800 pounds, and you go over a curb or something like that. You need that stiff frame, that box frame, to keep the car from twisting and the doors from jiggling and wiggling. So these were based on this heavy-duty frame, which was an option in your Chevelle for like 30 bucks. Few people knew about it or cared about it, but these have a heavier frame by 100 pounds, 335 pounds for the frame in this thing. Now the rear axle on this one from outside, you can't tell. Right here, this structure, this inner hub, looks the same between a 10-bolt and a 12-bolt. You have to go under the car, where if you see a bolt at the 6 o'clock position, that's a 10-bolt, which is almost certainly what we have here. But if you see 2 bolts on the inspection cover next to each other and nothing at 6 o'clock, that'd be a 12-bolt. So we don't know what's under this, probably a 10-bolt, because again, it's a 307 200-horse automatic car. But anyway, as one of 48,000 built in 1969, the next most popular after 72, and of course you get into the 70s, far more than that did sell. But again, 48,000 of these things built, like 1 in 10 Malibus or Chevelles on the road, was an El Camino. So a pretty rare sight then as now. So if you like this video, well, be sure to tune in and subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel. Lots more to come tomorrow.